You know, we talk to a lot of businesses on here, and one thing is common with every business on the planet, and it's not just businesses, it's our individual lives too. Computers. Everybody has at least one computer. Most of us have more than one computer, and when something happens to the software and we can't fix it ourselves, the whole world ends. You got to have people that can not only help you out with existing problems, but maybe update you a little bit to where you don't have future problems as well. If you have computers in your life, personally or professionally, you're going to want to pay attention to today's guest. The name of the company we're chatting with today in the software world is RAM Software Systems. Mr. RAM Software Systems, my new friend, Michael Greene, on the show. Michael, welcome aboard, buddy. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to back way up here just a little bit. Little Michael back in the day. Have you always been that guy, that was the computer guy that could figure things out faster than most of us?
I've probably made more mistakes so I can know how to fix those mistakes than most of us.
Well, now that's fair to say, because the most successful people are the ones that learn from their mistakes, and the ones that aren't successful, that make a mistake and quit and go do something else.
Yeah, yep.
And more importantly, your customers are allowed to, in their own way, to benefit from your mistakes.
Yep.
So they don't make them.
I can easily debug stuff. I've seen it before.
Yeah, you've seen it before, and you probably see it again. And the fact is, when I see it for the first and only time, I'm freaking out. And you're like, give me that. That's nothing but a thing.
Yep.
So when did you realize, you were always working on this stuff, but when did you realize you really did have a knack for it to the point that it could become a business?
We started this back in the 80s. Before that, I was a math teacher, and I was a junior high school principal.
Oh,
and
goodness.
Did the second thing I swore I would never do. One was teach, and I loved it, and the second was getting into computers. And we started out in the 80s with the microcomputers, which were brand new.
Sure.
And we would get computers from Ohio, with 10 of them, 5 of them DOA. We'd swap boards back and forth. We didn't know what we were doing. We got them working.
You figured it out?
We figured it out, and then we wrote the software that would be used by folks who've never used a computer before.
Well, talk to me on the software side of things, because most of us, I'm talking me, and frankly, a lot of them too, we barely can hang on to the hardware side. We don't have a clue on the software side. But how are you these days with your business? What's the purpose of the software you write? You're able to help out other businesses, aren't you?
We are. And in fact, we don't really write the software anymore. We are a reseller for an ERP solution. So what we really do is we install that software, make sure it's installed correctly, and then implemented correctly, and then help people use it. So we make sure that the basics are set up, and then we work with the business to manage so that they can use that business to manage their business.
Are you logged in, Michael, or locked in, not logged in, but locked in to just one specific industry, or you're able to help people in a variety of businesses?
We have focused on the manufacturing industry, mid-market manufacturers. And so that's really where we've spent most of our time. We love working with people who make things, and we love getting them out of trouble.
You know, when you were talking about manufacturing and software, my mind immediately jumped to inventory.
Yeah.
Is that a big piece of what you do?
It's a very big piece.
Yeah.
And because of the pandemic, that's been a real problem. The two major problems manufacturers have today are, one, getting materials that they need to make their product, and the other is to find the people they need to build the product.
So we're talking that elusive supply chain and all the issues that entails. Because in the software side, I mean, it's just like the pandemic itself, it had an impact on everything. But on the software side of things, that supply chain has really been impacted. How are you fighting through that?
Well, the big thing with the software, the way that software can help, obviously, is that you've got to be able to know when you need the materials so you can build it product. And then you need to know not only your primary supplier, because maybe they can't supply everything you need. So you need to be able to find a second and a third supplier and pull that all in together. So
always have a backup.
Yeah, and the system helps you then determine how much you need, when you need it, and who to get it from.
You mentioned earlier you no longer write the software, and this is a question for, let's get this out there if you hadn't already figured it out. I'm not the techie guy, okay? So try not to laugh too much. But can you take the software you can get a hold of, can it be tweaked and customized, if you will?
Yes, and we do a lot of that.
Okay, well, it wasn't a dumb question, was it?
No, not at all. There are no dumb questions.
All right, no, trust me, we just met. There may be some before it's all over. How do you do on your business side of things? We hear about so many businesses having trouble. You just mentioned it yourself on the staffing side. Does that impact your business too?
It has, and in fact, we're looking for folks right now. Business in 2020 was really, we did a lot of that remotely because we weren't able to get on site. but we were able to work, as we talked before, on Zoom or team meetings, things like that, to do the implementation remotely.
Is this the digital transformation you were talking about in the notes that I was looking at, where a lot of businesses have been able to redo things the way that they used to do them?
Yep, exactly. What's happened during the pandemic, and we're now coming out of that, hopefully, is that if you worked in the office, you went home. The whole idea was to protect the people who were in the plant. And so large corporations like Intel sent all their people back home if they weren't in the fab building things. And then they would, not only them, but small businesses as well that we talked to, they would do double shifts and cut the number of people in the plant in half. So they could be social distancing.
Spread them out a little more.
Spread them out.
Yeah.
And so you still had to do all that work, but you were now doing it from home. If you weren't able to connect remotely, you close your business, and that's what happened to a lot of small businesses. They just couldn't do it.
Sadly, another thing that happened is you leave the safety of this building that has all the safety factors you need for your computer stuff, and now you're going home. The bad guys know that, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And this is where all the ransomware and cybersecurity stuff. Talk to me about what you're able to do on those lines to keep people safe, regardless of where they're doing business.
The biggest thing there is to make sure that you have the software you need to protect your system. And more that software has become more and more sophisticated. The IT staff for most mid-markets are really one or two people, and mostly they spend their time going, what do you mean your printer doesn't work? So they're moving more and more to the cloud, where that's now managed by some larger system like Microsoft or others that then have the money and the power to do the cybersecurity protection that you just can't afford as a small business.
No, you can't, and that's why businesses like you are so vitally important, because too many small businesses, especially when they're just getting started, the last thing they're thinking about is cybersecurity. They're just trying to get the doors open or the online store open and get to work. But possibly the first thing they should think about is what you do, right?
Well, exactly. And in fact, that ransomware is not a joke. We've had at least 3 of our customers that we've had to help them with the restore from backup. There's a city here in the area that had ransomware, and it can shut you down. We had one company that was shut down for a week. We had another that was shut down for a month, in terms of they just simply couldn't invoice anyone. They couldn't take orders, all those kind of things because of the ransomware.
And was that a function of this of moving out of the sanctuary here to the second bedroom in the house?
No, it really isn't. It's more because the cybersecurity folks, or the people who do the cyber ransom stuff, are beginning to choose smaller businesses. They're choosing schools now, and
well, because they know the big ones can keep them out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, any criminal. You know, it's a lot easier to break into the car that's not locked than it is the car that is locked.
Exactly. And so that's what's happened. And they're collecting the money because the companies can't afford to be down. Or if they, and that's one of the big things is make sure that you have a good backup and test your backup. I can't tell you how many companies think they have a backup and realize the backup's really not happening.
They really don't. You know, it's like your car breaks down on the side of the road and you get in the trunk and the spare's flat.
Yep.
It doesn't do anybody any good.
Perfect example.
Yeah. You need to make sure that it's up and running all the time. Well, I think it's just fascinating. And as you can guess here on the show, I interview a lot of people in a lot of different industries, but it's guys like you and your company that I really like, because you're there specifically to help all small businesses succeed. You're a small business,
right?
But
exactly.
You're there to help others succeed.
We are.
That's got to make you feel good.
It does. That's really what we enjoy doing. We enjoy helping people be successful.
You know, I can tell you right now, if something were to happen to my computer system at home and I couldn't get it to work and you fixed it, I'm hugging you. You probably get a lot of that, you know. But
we do.
But be personally and professionally, because we're all dead without our computers and we can't all fix them, but we don't have to. All we have to do is know Michael and your company.
Yeah, our goal is to be a trusted advisor to our customers, and that's really what we do.
It's a great goal. You do it well. You've been doing it for a long time. And no matter what the world throws at us, you're going to be one step ahead to keep everybody running smoothly. Thanks for coming in today, man. I appreciate it. It's a great story. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you much. Hey, folks, thank you too. Don't run off, because we're going to do it again right here on All In. Stick with us.